Hey guys, it's Sandy here, and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering deck tech. This is a Yawgmoth combo deck that I put together for you guys. Mono black, Yawgmoth, new card printed in Modern Horizons, the big guy himself. Yawgmoth is a 4-mana 2/4 legendary creature human cleric. He has protection from humans, he has pay 1 life to sacrifice another creature. You put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, and you draw a card. That is the mechanic that we want to be focusing on through this deck. I haven't got a sideboard for this one, full disclosure. If you think there is cards that belong in the sideboard for this specifically, let me know in the comments. I'm just going to talk about the main deck here, the cards, interactions between them, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video. So we're running the 4 copies of Yawgmoth. The last ability on the card is pay 2 black, discard a card, and then proliferate. But it's the second ability here that we want to be abusing through the Undying mechanic. So we're running 4 copies of Geralf's Messenger and 4 copies of Butcher Ghoul. So Geralf's Messenger is for 3 black. It's a 3/2 zombie. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 2 life, but it also has Undying. So when this creature dies, if it had no +1 counters on it, you return it to the battlefield and you put a +1 counter on it. Butcher Ghoul also has Undying and is a 2-mana 1/1. So our turn 1 play is going to be the Carrion Feeder, which is for 1 black. It's a 1/1 zombie that can't block, and it's also got Sacrifice a Creature to put a +1/+1 counter on Carrion Feeder. We then have the Butcher that we're playing on turn 2, the Messenger that we're playing on turn 3, and then Yawgmoth. So what we're going to want to do is sacrifice the Geralf Messenger to the Carrion Feeder, which is going to trigger the Undying ability, putting a +1 counter on him, and then we're going to be triggering Yawgmoth's ability to sacrifice the Butcher, who will then immediately come back with a +1 counter on him, and put the -1 counter onto the Geralf's Messenger. He's going to negate the +1 counter that's already on him, go to the graveyard, and then come back. We're then going to repeat the process between the Messenger and the Butcher, negating with the -1 counter the +1 counters every time, and then creating this seemingly infinite loop of us being able to bring back these two and our opponent just dies. But it's not going to be the only way that we can get there. So we're also running 4 copies of Gravecrawler, which is for 1 black. It's a 2/1 zombie that can't block. And then you may cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. As long as we can keep playing him from the graveyard, he's another recurable threat. So if we only have one part of this combo, we can just keep using Yawgmoth's ability as long as we have the mana to play out the Gravecrawler from our graveyard and get a very similar recursion package going, and then hopefully drawing into the other combo pieces. And with 4 copies of Death Greeter in the deck, for 1 black, it's a 1/1 human shaman. With whenever another creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may gain 1 life. The obvious synergy being there, the Yawgmoth's ability no longer has a downside. So as long as we have creatures going into the graveyard or creatures able to sacrifice and put counters onto, the paying life ability on it no longer becomes a problem, and then we can just draw into gas. There's no downside to it. It just absolutely breaks Yawgmoth's ability. It's really, really cool. 3 copies of Zulaport Cutthroat. Kind of the same synergy. He's for 2 or 1/1. Whenever he or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Just adding to the creatures that can drain and gain from our opponent, and just adding some redundancy so we don't necessarily need the Messenger to be able to ping our opponent to death. 3 copies of Undead Augur, which is for 2 black. It's a 2/2 zombie wizard with whenever it or another zombie you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Again, with the Death Greeter out, no downside to this. We're just going to be gaining life back. But being able to draw cards off stuff when we don't have the Yawgmoth kind of creates an alternate engine. Again, just adding to the redundancies in the deck. 3 copies of Inquisition of Kozilek for some targeted discard in the deck. For 1 black at sorcery speed, target player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it with converted cost 3 or less, and that player discards that card. 3 copies of Thoughtseize, which is for 1 black at sorcery speed. Target player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card, and you lose 2 life. And 3 copies of Fatal Push, which is for 1 black. At instant speed, you destroy target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less, but it also has Revolt, so you can destroy target creature with converted mana cost 4 or less instead if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. With so many sacrifice synergies in the deck, Revolt is probably going to be a thing. More often than not, this is going to be for 1, destroy target creature, converted mana cost 4 or less. Just putting this little clip in here because I want to showcase the land base that I'm running with the actual deck. So in what will be the deck list version in the description of the deck is going to be this version. The land base I changed after I recorded the original video because I realized that the Cabal Stronghold isn't actually legal in Modern. So that was a stuff up on my end. Tomb of Yawgmoth, although flavorful, helps our opponent more than it helps us because it could potentially be fixing our opponent's mana for them, which isn't something we want to be doing. So I took those out along with a couple of copies of Swamps, and I've got 4 copies of Verdant Catacombs, which is a fetch land. So tap, pay 1 life. Sacrifice it, search your library for a swamp or forest. Prismatic Vista, which is one of the new fetch lands from Modern Horizons, is tap, pay 1 life, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. And then the rest of it is 14 swamps, so just basic swamps. Change the land base here because Although they don't ramp us any extra, like the Cabal Stronghold, they do help filter the deck. So we are going to be pulling lands out of our deck before we're going to be seeing them because of the fetches. So it's going to be helping us potentially draw into more cards that aren't land, reducing the chances of us hitting land as we're drawing through the deck, which is just helping the deck do what we want to do. And I feel like 8 is enough without being too much. We do have quite a lot of ways to gain life in the deck, so I'm not feeling too bad putting the 8 fetches in the deck. That is the main deck. Again, no sideboard with this one. If you like the deck, didn't like the deck, let me know in the comments. If you think I'm missing cards, if you think there's suggestions for the sideboard, because I haven't put that together yet, let me know in the comments. And I'm happy to say that after some playtesting, I've found that the deck works really, really well, and it has been a hell of a lot of fun to play. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see new videos as they were released. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, you can throw me $1 on my Patreon at patreon.com/ZandersQuest. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys.